Silicon Valley Bank, 16th biggest bank in America with over $200 billion in assets, goes belly up with people making a run on the bank. Everybody's panicking. What's going to happen if this goes on to other banks? One side of the aisle is saying, we got to bail them out. We can't let them go on. These are billionaires. Oh yeah, you want to have capitalism for the rest of us, but socialism for the rich. This is exactly why Bernie Sanders was right. They're doing the same thing they did to AIG. No, it's very different. How is it different? Lots of questions. We're going to cover all of that in today's show. So if you get value from the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. To fully understand what's going on with this, you have to put a different lens on to understand different people's perspective. Meaning, when Benghazi happened, most people have forgotten about Benghazi. The only people that are still thinking about Benghazi on a regular basis are those who lost a family member. One of the 4 family members are thinking about it till today. Why? Because it was a direct impact of pain to you. Silicon Valley Bank, there's different people there. Those who work for Silicon Valley as an employee, well, they're gonna take a hit. Those who own shares in Silicon Valley Bank, they were owners. They're gonna take a hit. There are those that have $250,000 or less with Silicon Valley Bank. They'll be protected by FDIC. But then there's those that have over $250,000. They're not protected by the FDIC. And then outside of that, you have those who have their business accounts with them that are trying to make payroll. They don't know how to make payroll. Next thing you know, all these employees at these startups are sitting there saying, how am I gonna pay my salary? And last but not least, they're outsiders. Me and you ain't got shares, I ain't got shares. If you don't, we're kind of sitting here saying, they should do this and they should do that, but you got to look at it from different people's lens. Now, having said that, let's get right into it. So, what is the biggest fear of people saying we got to go bail them out? And what is the people on this side saying this is just like AIG? Here's the difference. In 2008, the government bailed out the company AIG. In 2023, FDIC is bailing out, they're calling it a backstop. They're bailing out the depositors, not the company. The company's being bought out, different divisions of it, different people are buying. The UK division, I think, was bought by HSBC for £1, £1, not £1 billion, £1. Apollo's buying the loan debt. This guy's buying this, that guy's buying this. And at the same time, they're doing that. So the bailout isn't for the company to still be around because the CEO, the CFO, those guys mismanaged the bank. As a matter of fact, the CEO, he goes to Europe to go get a trip for Bank of the Year award or something like that, while Forbes magazine calls them one of the best banks of the year. And they retweet it 5 days before they go belly up. Then he comes back, realizes what's going on, takes $3.5 million or so of his stocks and sells it. Then the CMO sells it. All these CFO sells it. They're selling shares knowing this company is going to go bankrupt. And they're giving bonuses out 12 days before the company going bankrupt. They know this is coming. That's called front running. The Fed's going to go do something about that. The government's going to do something about that. They should be held accountable, but the depositors, no. Now, there's some people that say taxpayers are not going to pay anything for that. You're going to be paying for something for that. The FDIC doesn't print money to pay things out. And if they do, you and I are still paying for it. So no, that is coming from us to pay for that. The problem is the following. This is the part that everybody has to be thinking about. The FDIC today, if you looked at their balance sheet, they have roughly $125 billion in their account. $125 billion. Do you know how much money they're trying to insure with that $125 billion? You ready? $9.9 trillion of deposits. Did you hear me? They got $125 billion to protect $9.9 trillion of deposits. So what's the fear? If FDIC goes and says, we're going to go above the usual 250 and we're going to bail these other depositors out and we're going to take care of them. What becomes a problem? If all of a sudden Jerome Powell increases rates and other banks can't make their payments on their bond and there's a run on different banks, what happens all of a sudden? The 27 regional banks that we have now it's 26 because one of them is SV Bank. The 2,250 community banks that we have in cities of 50,000 or less, everybody's going to start panicking saying, hey babe, we got to take the money out. We got to go to a big bank. Let's go to Chase. As a matter of fact, just in the last week, Jamie Dimon, CEO of Chase, you know what they did? They got nearly $2 billion of clients that were with Silicon Valley Bank. Why? Because their brokers kept calling. That's capitalism, competition. That's when the fear becomes from having all these different banks to going to 5, then you and I don't have a lot of competition, we lose. That's the people who are saying, let's bail out the depositors. But if they do it once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times, they can't do it if this happens to 5, 10 other banks. Then they have to go back to printing of money again, which is going back to the mistakes we made in 08, which is quantitative easing. That's what they're trying to prevent from happening. Having said that, where does capitalism get a black eye? A couple different places. Crony capitalism, which you need politicians to help you. Monopoly, where you control a production of have a product. Monopsony, which is when you are controlling the buyer of a product. You're like the only guy that buys a product and you have control over it. I'm the only guy that buys it. You can't get the product. So you can bully all the other people that want to get it. That's a form of a monopoly. Then sometimes the inherited wealth folks are getting, oh, I can't believe you got your money. You didn't have to earn for it. You don't have to do this. It doesn't matter. Their parents worked hard and they want to pass it down to their kids. You ought to do the same to pass the money to your kids as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's one part that deserves criticism, and here's where it is. The fourth foundation of capitalism, this is what it is the freedom to buy, freedom to sell, freedom to try, and freedom to fail. There are crybaby capitalists who want to take the risk to make a lot of money, but they don't want to fail. You can't do that. So you want to put all your money into this investment or a opportunity, and you want it to go to whatever the amount is, but if all of a sudden, God forbid, shit hits the fan, you want to make sure the government comes and bails you out. Those capitalists, I call the crybaby capitalists, those are the ones that make the other capitalists who do it the right way get criticism. FYI, this isn't only in a place like this. This happens to a lot of different people. The same way O.J. Simpson got a lot of hate when people said, we all know this guy's guilty. A lot of people in America think he was guilty. How the hell does this happen? It's just because he's a celebrity. Some people were right. It happened because he was a celebrity. Some people may say he could afford better attorneys. Some people say, if it was an average person who did this, you know he'd be going to jail for life. How can this happen to O.J.? These are all valid questions to be asking. But when an event like this happens with Silicon Valley Bank, rather than jumping out there and saying, let's do another Occupy Wall Street, capitalists suck, billionaires suck, for every one stupid thing a capitalist does, they've done 99 other things, such as the platform you're holding your hand in right now to watch this video, your phone, and the service, and the company with the phone, and all the other stuff. All of that was started by a capitalist. All the equipment here was started by a capitalist. There's a lot of good capitalists too, but every once in a while, they do horrible things, just like everybody else. That doesn't mean we should judge them as all the other 99% of capitalists that do the right thing. If you got value from this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I also did a video, I think 5 years ago, titled 10 Reasons Why I Love Capitalism. If you've never seen it, click here to watch it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye, bye-bye.